I always imagined my son Daniel's wedding as a peaceful, joyful day, one where I would sit proudly and watch him start his new life. I never thought I would be dragged into drama, least of all by the woman he chose to marry. But life has a way of surprising you, especially when pride and entitlement walk into the picture. Daniel had always been close to me. When his father passed away 10 years ago, it was just the two of us. I worked overtime, skipped vacations, and saved every extra dollar to make sure he had a good life. So when he announced his engagement to Amelia, I wanted to give him the best wedding possible. I offered to pay for nearly everything: venue, catering, photography, decorations. It totaled more than I initially planned, but he was my son, and it was a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Amelia thanked me at first, but slowly her gratitude shifted into expectation. Suddenly, everything became about upgrades, better flowers, a bigger cake, more expensive chairs, a luxury touch, as she called it. I didn't mind as long as Daniel was happy. But here's the thing: the more money I spent, the less she seemed to respect me. The tension reached its peak on the wedding day itself. The ceremony was beautiful, I won't deny that. The hall glowed with candlelight, soft music filled the air, and Daniel looked happier than I'd seen him in years. I sat in the front row, holding back tears as I watched him say his vows. For a moment, I felt it was all worth it. Then came the reception. Amelia took the microphone, her smile sweet but her eyes sharp, almost calculating. I didn't think anything of it until she said, "Before we continue, I want to give a special thank you to everyone who helped make this wedding possible." I smiled, expecting a simple acknowledgement. I never wanted the spotlight, but a small thank you would have been nice. Instead, Amelia laughed lightly and said, "And of course, a big thank you to Daniel's mother, who tried her best to keep up with our wedding vision." The hall went quiet. I froze. She continued, "Even though some things were not exactly what we wanted, she really did put in the effort." Laughter rippled across a few tables. My heart sank. It felt like someone had slapped me in front of 100 people. She didn't stop there. "You know how parents get," she said. "Traditional tastes, limited ideas, but we managed to make it work, right?" She winked at the crowd. Daniel looked shocked, even uncomfortable, but Amelia's grip on his hand kept him silent. I sat still, but inside me something broke. 10 years of sacrifices, endless hours of work, every small item I had paid for. And she had the audacity to mock me, to belittle my contributions in front of everyone as if I were some outdated burden. I excused myself quietly and walked outside to breathe. The air was cold, but my hands were burning. I took out my phone. I contacted the venue manager, who knew me very well considering I was the one handling all the payments. I told her politely but firmly, "Please charge all remaining balances to the couple directly. I will no longer be covering anything else." Then I contacted the caterer, same message. The photographer, same. The decorator, same. All unpaid balances, which were quite large, were moved to Daniel and Amelia. Not one business questioned me. They knew I was the primary financer. I walked back inside calmly, just in time for Amelia to start another announcement. "Oh, there she is," she said loudly, pointing at me from across the room. "We thought you left because of the joke. Don't worry, it was all in fun." A joke. Right. I walked up to the microphone, ignoring the murmurs and curious glances. "Congratulations to the bride and groom," I began. "I wish you both happiness and a long, beautiful life together." Polite applause. Then I added, "And since today is about starting fresh, I've decided to start fresh as well." Amelia frowned. Daniel looked nervous. "I have withdrawn my financial support from every remaining wedding service," I said. "All outstanding bills will be sent directly to the newlyweds." Gasps filled the room. Amelia's face turned pale. What do you mean?" she stammered. I smiled warmly. "Since my efforts were not up to your standards, I figured it's best that you handle things your own way." Daniel stood up. "Mom, wait." But it was Amelia who snapped. "You can't do that. We don't have that kind of money." "Then maybe," I replied gently, "you should think twice before humiliating the person paying your bills." The hall fell silent. Daniel looked torn, eyes flicking between me and Amelia. Finally, he said softly, "Amelia, that was really out of line." But Amelia refused to back down. "She can't embarrass us like this." I raised an eyebrow. "Embarrass you? I simply matched the tone you set." People whispered around the tables. Even Amelia's own family looked uncomfortable. I didn't stay much longer. I hugged Daniel, wished him well, and left quietly. I wasn't angry anymore, I was simply done. Later that night, Daniel came to my home alone. He sat at my kitchen table, head in his hands. "I'm sorry, Mom," he said. "I didn't know she would say those things. I should have defended you." He explained that he and Amelia had gotten into a huge argument. She accused him of choosing me over her. He told her respect was non-negotiable. I held his hand and said, marriage should never start with disrespect, not towards family, not towards anyone. A few days passed before he called to tell me Amelia begrudgingly apologized. Whether it was genuine or born from fear of debt, I honestly didn't care. What mattered was that Daniel saw her true colors. The wedding bills were eventually paid by Amelia's parents, who, unlike their daughter, reached out and apologized sincerely for her behavior. As for me, I learned something important. Kindness should never be mistaken for weakness. Because the moment someone decides to publicly shame you, you have every right to stand up for yourself, calmly, firmly, and without regret. And that's exactly what I did.